Chama Jess, Chama, Chama God for you guys. Back again for part two of the Carolinas. Hopefully we don't get interrupted today. And we're gonna go back to the 1700s, because that's when the Carolinas began officially. We'll see. I'm sorry I couldn't get on at 2. I got on whenever I could get on today, you guys. I wasn't feeling too well. I'm feeling a little bit better now. Hopefully it stays that way. All right, so part 2, we're going into 1790s. This is the Coastal Carolina Indians, coastalcarolinaindians.com again. They have the 1790 Coastal Carolina Indian cross-reference database that they're putting together. All right, and of course they put a disclaimer again saying these individuals listed here are not necessarily Indian. They may be free blacks, mulattoes, mestizos, and other non-white citizens, which we know those were the Indians, the indigenous people. And this is intended to be a potential starting point for your research. Okay, so how you doing, Contrail and Star? So basically, they just given a warning because they have to get the warning. But we know these people are the victims of paper genocide for pretty much most of the cases, right? So these are let's see, cross, can you guys hear me? I hope you guys can hear me. Cross-reference using surnames, no name of Indian families, and historic Indian villages. Okay. So we're gonna get down into the list. These are the known Indian families and so these are the known people. Okay. So we're gonna get right into it so we have enough time. Starting in Beaufort County. I believe this is North Carolina. But at that time, it was, at the time, North Carolina and South Carolina were the same. So those are the same families. And we're starting, let me go to the side with the communities and read that first before I give off the names. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Chama Wengapo. All right. Cowwitty, Tuscarora, that's their town, Cowwitty town. Prior to about 1602, 1608, this was shown on the maps as Panawiki. By the mid-1600s, this was now Cowwitty, which is the corruption of the Tuscarora word meaning otters or little otters. So I guess this town was by the river. All right, and then these are the towns that these people on the list lived in. King Charles Towns was Machipongo. This was on the east side of the Machipongo River and is referenced in 2 deeds of the old Bath County records. Charles Hopton to Roger Montague, both of Bath County, North Carolina, for a valuable consideration. Land entry of 640 acres of the east side of the Machipongo River, called King Charles Town. Okay, so those 2 people, Charles Hopton gave Roger Montague, who was, I'm assuming, one of the indigenous people, 640 acres. And they called that King Charles Town where the Indian people lived at. Okay, with Richard Batchelor. And that's spelled batch, like a batch of cookies, Batchalor. Bachelor. Yeah. And Charles Hopkins, ACK, I'm not sure what that means. At January 22nd, 1704. So you see that these people were deeded 640 acres of land, which is a lot, even for today. Roger Montague is a planter. Bath County sold to Richard Sylvester I don't know what NCG means, land entry in. If you want to follow along, it's on coastalcarolinaindians.com, 1790 coastal database. Okay. So basically, these are just land deeds between the Indians. See, these were the kings. I'm not exactly sure they were the kings, but it seems pretty much like they were the chiefs or kings of these towns. Okay. Yes. It says it should be noted that the name King Charles Town most certainly refers to the Machipungo chief, King Charles, referred to by John Lawson in his 1709 A Voyage to the Carolinas. So, yeah, you're right. Those are the chiefs. Right. So, Charles was the chief. And it should be noted that Roger Montagu mentioned above is the same Roger Montagu who in 1709 entered into a land transaction with John Squire, who is possibly the same John Squires who was the king of the Matamusket Reservation. So these are two kings basically doing a business transaction. And you see they're using their names, Roger Montagu and John Squires. They're using their business names. Like I told you guys, a lot of these, the names that they say are English or whatever, those are their business or commerce names. All right, and then they have another thing noted. Pamtico, November 3rd, 1708, Roger Montagu assigns John Squire for a valuable consideration a tract of land up Chevron Creek. Sevron Creek, it's spelled Severon, in Machipungo River. And its witness is Samuel Norton. I'm not sure who he is. And there's another witness is Levi Truitt. They could be Indians or they could be English people. Let me see what you guys are saying. You say yes, English. These were the kings. Yep. Is it buffering, you guys? Nah, I'm not having any issues over here. It could be your location. All right. Can you help me out with some of the names of the Indian tribes? I'm going to do another Virginia video. You can check back at the previous Virginia video. You said you missed the live stream. Served named Prince, Indigenous. I think Prince was on the first North Carolina video. If you go back to look at that one, Prince. I believe Prince was on there. All right. So now I'm going to get into the names. Yes, Alan was on, believe yesterday. Alan was on the list yesterday. You guys got to go back. There's so many names, I can't remember everything. So you guys got to go back and watch the old videos. Still good information on that. All right, so let's start at the list. For Beaufort County, these are the people who lived in these Indian towns, okay? The families and by county and surname from known Indian communities or known Indian surnames. All right, Dinah Blango, she was 6 years old on here. This is like a lot of children, it seems like. So Dinah Blango, Sarah Blango, Solomon Blango, Thomas Blango. So those are the kids for that family. John Brayboy, William Carroll, Marion Connor, Ann Curtis, A. Briar Hawkins. Yes, Beaufort County, North Carolina. Now, which is North Carolina, which was the Carolinas then. Catherine Healy, Zier Hodge, Edward Holmes, John Holmes, William Horn, Joshua Johnson, Abraham Senior Johnson. So I guess there's another Johnson on there. Yeah, another Abraham Johnson somewhere. Asery, spelled Arcey, Asery Julie, which is spelled Juley. Miley Keys, John P. Moore, Rachel Moore, and it's spelled Moore like Moorish, Moor. William Pluto, like the planet. Peter Sutton, John Turner, and Kizzy Cutterton. All right. He said, I remember you saying a name could have been spelled different ways. Yeah, a lot of the names are spelled like the people, even these census takers, a lot of them weren't very literate. So they spelled it the way it sounded to them sometimes. And even the people who had the surname, they might not know exactly how to spell their name if they weren't, people were working with their hands a lot. They weren't, even the most educated people weren't the most literate at this time. You can look at John Smith and other people's journals, and you see how atrocious their spelling is. It's ridiculous. Okay, so this is Bertie County. Like I said, this is 1790 for you guys if you're doing your genealogy and you're stuck around that time and you have these surnames. It could be possibly you related to these people and you're from these counties as well, this area. All right. And it says this historical community. This is Tuscarora. This surname shows up on Indian Woods deeds as Tuscarora, talking about Wiggins on this Bertie deed book M file, and also the Tuscarora 1766 land deeds. All right. Anyway, we got book to those who are just joining us. So we're at Bertie County. These are the known Indian families and Indian names that were documented. All right, we're going to start with these households. Okay, the first one is James Ashe, or Ash, spelled Ashe, and he is documented with living with one white woman. Okay, so for those who thinking that this interracial marriages and stuff is new, it is very not new. This is I said very not new. It's pretty old. This is 1790, right? So all these movies make it like, oh, people of color, men of color couldn't marry white women and all this stuff. And they get hanged for all this. No, they were marrying people for hundreds of years. And all that stuff didn't start until around, after emancipation. And that's when people felt threatened for their jobs and their land. And they wanted to steal people's land. So that's where all that hanging stuff came from. A lot of jealousy and foolishness and evilness. All right. And okay, let's continue on the list. Hall Barlett, Darby Brantley, and Darby Broomley. So these are two different young ladies, but their names are spelled similar. So in this case, you got to be careful with the name. Like I said, the misspellings, sometimes those could be two different people. So you have to check the other family members that are listed along with them, okay? All right, Caesar Chavis, which is a popular Carolina Indian name. Caesar Chavit. Okay, and that's another case, somebody's similar name. They're two different ages. Caesar Chavis is 1 year old, and Caesar Chavit is 7 years old. So those are two different people from two different families. Joseph Darby, George Dempsey, Joshua Dempsey, Thurgood Dempsey. Joni Goff, and this name is spelled Joney Goff. And this is David Hall, and he's with one white female, it says. And I'm assuming this is his mother because he's only 2 years old. So, and he's Indian. So I'm assuming the father is an Indian. Andrew James, Frederick James, and then there's another Frederick James. Those are two different ages. One is 9 years old and the other is 5 years old. Can you guys hear me? I know the heat just came on. John James, Nancy James, and Mary Jeemies. Now, I'm not sure if this is a misspelling or they're different families, but Mary's last name is spelled Jeames. Okay. Now, William Jones, and he is listed with having 6 slaves. So they don't indicate the names of the slaves or the ethnicity of the slaves at all. Moses Manley, McCady or McCate, MC, capital C, ATE, and it's just the last name, it's just a surname. David Meredith, James Page, Anthony Tony, Jethro Trumbull, John Warburton, WHARBURTON, Michael Wiggins and Samuel Wiggins, and Sarah Wilfred. Isn't Cesar Chavez? Yeah, but this is Cesar Chavis. Cesar Chavez is, what's he, a Latin American, some type of Latin American icon. I know exactly who he is, but my brain's not working right now. I'm more focused on this list. Yes, it was Cesar Chavis in this case. All right, and now we're getting into Carteret County. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Carteret County, Martin Black, Peter Braddock, Caesar Burgess, or Burgess. Let me spell it. Burgase. And Caesar seems to be a popular name in the Carolinas. Oh, you're welcome, Non-Ether. Just a child named Carolina. She's free, but she doesn't have any other, she doesn't have a surname or anything else. George Carter, John Carter, another John Carter is a different age. Peter Cooper, Dinah, Dinah. She's a free child by herself, no surname. Elizabeth Fisher, Jenny, this is again no surnames. Jerry, no surname. Absalom, Absalom, Absalom Martin. Absalom Martin. Ann Norwood. Ocree, just no surname, a child with no surname. Peter, he's free, but he has no surname. All these loose children, not loose, but these children documented by yourself, it's, trying to figure out who's what, who do they live with and who takes care of them. Because a lot of them are like 5 years old and under. This one is Junior Sampson, or Junior Sampson. It's spelled Junr dot, as a short word. Yeah, Norwood, right? That could be someone. Let me say the name again. Ann Norwood. She's 2 years old on here. She's living on the Indian reservation. All right, Sampson is 3 years old. He's just by himself. Joe Pye Santon, he's 1 year old. And Senior Toby, he's free, but he doesn't have a surname. I don't know why his name's Senior. I don't see a junior anywhere. Somebody said something. Oh, somebody retracted something. Okay, now we're getting in Chowan County, or Eatonton. We know the Chowan were a tribe in the Carolinas. So we're going to get into that. I'm trying to read I'm looking all crazy in the screen. I'm trying to read what you guys are saying. All right, we're going to start with that. Jane Banks, Joe Churton. He said loose children. Right, loose, the random children. I guess they just run around the reservation. Who's taking care of them? Doesn't it seem odd? There's a whole bunch of them. Abraham Clark and another Abraham Clark. He's documented twice. They're both the same age. I'm not sure if it's the same person or they're just related, because everybody had the same name right there. What? Oh my goodness. Peggy Dempsey, Mary James, Debbie, what is this? Mustapher, spelled Mustapher, and Mary Mustapher, and Patty Mustapher. I guess it's a little family. Phoebe Polydor, and Mary Rudd, R-U-D. All right. So I'm just going down all the counties. We're in the C's now, so I'm trying to get through it. Do you guys got any questions right now? Now, you notice some of these names, like these are very basic, quote unquote, African American names, like John Carter. You know what I'm saying? This one girl name is Letitia Black. These are the people on these reservations or documented Indians. All right, let me start at the top again. So John Allen, and he has two slaves. This is Craven County. The last name. I haven't seen that yet. Okay, and on the side it says known Indian surnames is Allen of the Tuscarora. And they said this name shows up on the Indian Woods deeds as Tuscarora. Copes is a Tuscarora name. And then they quote from one of the colonial Indian records. Indictment of John Copes, a Christian Indian belonging to King Blunt's tribe, for committing burglary by breaking into the house of Colonel Thomas Pollock, Esquire, president of this province at Chowan, at the county of Albemarle, in the night of 4 August. Pollock being in the house at the time. Back says not guilty. No year is given. Okay, so he was not. Someone accused him of burglary, and he was not guilty. What is that? He said Nash counties. I haven't gotten down there. I'm in Craven right now. He said Albemarle. I always mispronounce Albemarle, because there's so many different counties. Oh, sorry, some telemarketer. Anyways, yeah. So I always mispronounce it. I don't know. Okay, Dove surname is Madam Musket. And they list William Dove. Let's see. He has an excerpt from one of these. It doesn't really say. But they quote, note to Mr. Hatch of Little River from Charles Eden stating he had taken from William Dove of the schooner smeared 10 pounds of powder for use of the Marra Musket Indians, taken by Eden's order for the public service. Hatch ordered to reimburse the aforesaid captain in 1719. All right, and then they say Mitchell is a Tuscarora surname, shows up on the Indian Wood deed as Tuscarora. Russell Madamusket. This surname belonged to one of the chief men, Joseph Russell of the Madamusket Reservation. Okay, it should be noted that the Madamusket Reservation housed Indians from small Algonquian villages along the coast as well as the Tuscarora. The southern Tuscarora, led by Hancock, like John Hancock, like Hancock the movie, were assisted by virtually all of the smaller tribes in the coastal plain, including present-day Craven, Beaufort, Hyde, Pamlico, and Currituck counties. The reservation at Indian Woods in Bertie County was set up for the Northern Tuscarora, led by Tom Blunt, who had been friendly, quote unquote, to the English. The Madamusket Reservation was not established until close to a decade later for the Southern Indians who had continued to fight colonial expansion even after the fall of Fort Neohedroka. It looks like a Iroquois word, Neohedroka. What you guys saying? Y'all don't left me to go see Dane's video? Let's see a couple of y'all sign off. Wangavo. You said you got to run some errands. Okay. Hopefully I get down to Manning and Nash counties, Lucius. You said Mitchell. Yep, Mitchell is a Tuscarora, but most join the Sapani and the Catawba. Okay. Woodson, did you speak about that? Woodson is on the Virginia one, and I'm a Woodson too, associated with the Nottoway. I'm not sure what other tribes are associated with. You said you're not leaving for Dame. Okay, thank you. I don't mind if you do. He might be talking about something totally different that you might need to hear. All right, Craven County. So I'm gonna get back to the list on the side. All right, John Allen, like I said, and he had 2 slaves. You said you multitasking. You got us on different screens, Lewis. Okay, so John Allen, Letitia Black, Sal Bowers, Samuel Brown, Abel Carter. You said equal volume. Isaac Carter, Jenny Carter, Joshua Carter, Cato Copeland, Jacob Copes, which was documented on the side, Michael Davis, Nellie Dove, Pompey Dove, and William Dove, which they mentioned over there. Johnston Driggers, Drigger, William George, John Godet, Peter Godet, John Gregory, Elizabeth Driggers, no, Elizabeth Griggers. So it's spelled the same, except a G. Grigger. You said the Brown, what? Brown, Boone, Copeland are Surnames. Yeah, my Browns were with the Nottoway and the well, no, not the Narragansett. Somebody married in from the Narragansett. So I have Browns from the Nottoway and the Pamunkey. All right. John Gregory, I already said that. Elizabeth Griggers. Thomas Harris. Jack, he's just a kid with no surname. Isaac Jessup. Ann Johnston with a T at Johnston. Yeah, I just said Harris. Joseph Kelly, Abby Lewis, Thomas Lewis, Joshua Senior Lindsay, Mary Lindsay, James Manley, Benjamin Mitchell, Abraham Moore, spelled like Moore, Moor, Deborah Moore, Dinah Moore, Jenny Moore, Jesse Moore, spelled like Jesse Jackson, John Moore, and another John Moore. One is 12, one is 2. Margaret Moore, Simon Moore, there's a whole bunch of Moores. Susanna Moore, I think that's it. And then we're going to go to James Morgan, Caddy Mosley, Thomas Muckleroy. Muckleroy is pretty unique. You said Harrison. I think Harrison was on the other North Carolina list. George Perkins, Isaac Perkins, Jerry Powers, like Austin Powers, George Ranson, Isaac Ranson, Ann Russell, Samuel Simmons, and he has 1 slave, Aaron Spellman, Isa Spellman, spelled A-S-A, David Spellman, Jenny Spellman, Dahl Stringer, Minge Stringer, I'm sorry, like Stringer Bell, Thomas Stringer, Cato White, and James York. You said you got Harris and Harris. All right. Perkins Simmons. Yeah, these ones, I'm not sure. I think these are more Madamusket. Let me go back up the top. Yeah, those are Tuscarora or Madamusket people. All those surnames. And y'all, you keep asking, I'm not married. I'm in a relationship right now. I'm not married, though. All right. Currituck County, spelled Currituck. Said, what about Hodge? I'm not sure. We'll see. Lane was in the North Carolina one, the first North Carolina one. All right, so we're gonna get in the let me pronounce it right. Currituck County, and that seems like a Algonquin word, Currituck. All right. Yeah, we had the names because we are cousins. You're right. We had the same surnames. You said I don't look married because I don't have stress lines. What? You said don't get married. Uh, oh no, I wouldn't. If I'm gonna get stressed out, I'm not gonna get married to that person. That no, I am not stressed out right now. Yes. Yeah, you know the cousins and a lot of the cousins eventually intermarried. Like they might be like fifth cousins and third cousins. You said focus. I'm trying to focus. But yeah, like these families, which who knew they were historical, Indian families, they intermarried with each other because they were trying to, quote, keep the blood pure. They wanted their kids to know who they were. And it doesn't mean the people who didn't know who they were, something was wrong with them. It's just like they wanted to keep that sense of community. You see, they all lived together. And once the reservations kind of dissolved, and they were telling people you can't stay on the reservation if you own anything, land, cattle, whatever, that's when these families start trying to, still stick with each other. Right. What'd you say, cousin? So when was Ann Norwood on that list? Go back up. Just for you, I'm gonna go back up. Carteret County. Carteret County, spelled Carteret. County. All right. So we just finished. Which one did we just finish? Oh, we're on Currituck County now. So I'm gonna read the side, and it says Meekins or Meckins, probably. Oh, new tab, no problem. All right. So known Indian surnames Meekins, or Meckins, and it says, quote, the following is from possible Croatian descendants by the Lost Colony Center for Science and Research. And it says, quote, in 1777, Samuel Elks Patterson's sells to Isaac Meekins the land known locally as Buck Ridge in Gumnick, Tyrrell County, North Carolina. This is the possible location of an Indian village on the Alligator River. Okay, so some of y'all might have needed that information. You said it's Nash and Manning, North or South Carolina. I'm not exactly sure if it's on this list. Then I don't know. See, at this time, 1790, they were all one, right? Weren't South Carolina just starting to form at this time? Yeah, so either way, the families and stuff are interrelated, because a lot of them either they were already there or they migrated down from Virginia. Yeah, it says Carolina. So this is coastalcarolinaindians.com if you guys want to look at it for yourself or have it for your own personal research, or if your surnames or family members on here. All right. So we're going to start with Mary Bassnett, Robert Bassnett, Mary Bathhouse, James Boswell, Sarah Bryan, Samuel Burnham, Jonathan Case. Oh, it's snowing? Uh-oh. Yeah, be safe, Lucius. You said my great-grandfather was Pocahontas's brother. Oh, okay. Which one? Pocahontas has probably had about 50 brothers. You said you're in Illinois. Oh, no wonder. Be safe out there. Get your groceries or whatever you got to get before it starts getting bad. All right. Jonathan Case, Price Dring, spelled Dring, like a ring. Charles Douglas, or it could be Douglas, it's spelled Douglas. Edom Fuller, Peter Gordon, Elizabeth Hittom, spelled Hitom, Charles Hunt, Dempsey Hunt, Hiram Hunt, LB, what, Albie, I'm not sure. It's spelled A-B-L, Jones, Margaret Meekins, and Richard Meekins, Isaac Smith, James Thomas, Beller Turner, Samson Turner, and William Weaver. He said there's a lot of Hebrew names. Yeah, a lot of the people, you know, at that time they got a lot of their names from the Bibles, from the Bible. So if they were trying to get their colonial name or the commerce name, some of them just got it from the Bible. I can't. It won't let me type or put any type of links in the chat. So if one of you guys can do that for me, that would be cool. I don't see any of my admins on today. They must be busy. Um, Donnie or somebody. I didn't. Donnie, did I make you an admin? Yes, it's Currituck's spelled with an I, not an A. Currituck County. All right, now we're in Dobbs County. It's a very short list. They don't have any information on the side. They just have William Burnett. They have Edward Carter, and he has one white woman and 20 slaves. My goodness, what is he up to? Yeah, okay, Donnie, I got you. I thought I'd been done that. My bad, Donnie. There you go. You said McLaurin, last name in Scotland County. McLaurin, yeah, I mentioned McLaurin in the last video, the other South Carolina video, but it's probably, we're going to probably get to it. All right, so we have William Burnett, Edward Carter, just Joe, 1 year old, and Walker, 1 year old. So those are the only documented people. And I don't know if those are their Edward's children or William children. I don't know. Anyways, so we're going to move on to Edgecombe or Colby. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. So Edgecombe County, I believe that's how it's said. And the side note is Mitchell Tuscarora. This surname shows up on the Indian Woods deed as Tuscarora, also Wiggins. Okay, so that's the side notes, Wiggins and Mitchell, which we know there's a lot of quote-unquote African-American Wiggins and Mitchells, right? You said hit the button. Yes, thank you. Hit the like button, y'all. Subscribe if you haven't. Share it out right now so people can watch it right now while we're live. All right, lawyer, artist. Okay, sound like two jobs. It's spelled Lauer and artist. Edward Griffin, Jordan Hammonds, Shadrach Hammonds, and Jordan and Shadrach are in the Bible. Those, like I was just saying, that's where to get those names. Thomas Mitchell, Robert Portis, Isham Scott, Israel Scott, John Stevens, Matthew Wiggins, and John Wambell. Okay. You said you caught up watching Dan Calloway's documentary. Oh, okay. All right, Gates County, George Bennett. Oh, let me read the side stuff first. It says known Indian surnames Bennett and Robbins. Both are listed in Chowan land deeds to colonists. Deed from James Bennett, Thomas Hitter, Charles Barely, Jeremiah Ruffin, John Robbins, John Redding, Hull Will. So all those people, these names, James Bennett, Thomas Hitter, Charles Barely, Jeremiah Ruffin, John Robbins, John Reading, Hull Will are Indians of the Chowan precinct in the county of Marley. So they deed in their land to Thomas Garrett, of the same precinct and county for land in Chowan precinct, part of a patent dated to 1724 on Gum Bridge bordering Captain Aaron Blanchard's. And this is April 7th, 1734. Witnesses Mitchell Ward, Henry Hill, and all grantors side with the mark except Hull Willis. So when they sign with that mark, that means that they aren't uh, literate. But Hull Wills signed with his name because he knew how to spell his name. Okay, which a lot of people were not literate, whether they were European or whatever. Oh, no problem. No problem. If you missed it. All right, and then it says Mitchell, known Tuscarora surname from the Indian Woods deed. And then we're going to go back to the top and do the list for Gates County. George Bennett, Joseph Bennett, James Boone, John Cuff, Jesse Martin, Meanie Mitchell, Alicia Parker, Micah Ja Reed, Hardy Robbins, James Robbins with one white female, so I guess this is his wife. Like I said, a lot of the Carolina boys, a lot of them are married to European women for some reason. I don't know if these women are former slaves or former servants, or they're just free women who wanted to marry them. Who knows? Abraham Rood, Benjamin Rood, Hardy Rood, Rachel Rood, and James Weaver. Okay, and we're about to get in Halifax County. I believe, y'all laughing at me. Isn't the Howard Sapani from Halifax? And they don't have any side notes on this one, so I'm just saying. We're going to start at the top since there's no side notes. John Archer, Charles Ash, Peggy Bird, Polly Bird, Richard Bird, Charles Carter, Frederick Carter. Yeah, they could. Well, no, they were documented as Indian. That's why they specified the wives were white. And remember, you guys, a lot of the men who were married to quote unquote white women in Virginia, they moved to the Carolinas because they were more tolerant there and it was laxer laws. People didn't really have a problem with interracial marriages down there for free people. I don't know about enslaved people. Frederick Carter, Randall Carter, James Dempsey, Thurgood Dempsey, Martha Edmonds, Richard Francis, John Green, William Green, Anthony Hammonds. Oh, Timothy, you watching? There's a Hammonds on here, Anthony Hammonds. This is Halifax County. He said Ash migrated to from North Carolina to Indiana and southern Michigan. Oh, that's interesting. I'm reading from the 1790 database on coastalcarolinaindians.com. You said your maternal mother is from Halifax County. Okay. So we left off at Anthony Hammonds. Nancy Harry, Henry Hawkins, Joseph Hawkins, Samuel Hawkins, and one white woman. Solomon Hawkins, Joseph Harriman, Frederick Heathcock, and Ishmael Heathcock and one white female. Ptolemy Heathcock, William Heathcock, all right, Benjamin James, Alicia James, James Jones, another James Jones, different age, John Jones, Phil Jones, Charles Lewis, John Lewis and one white woman, Morgan Lewis, Warner Lewis, William McGee, and it's spelled Megee, John Morgan, Francis Murray, Mark Murray, Benjamin Richardson, William Richardson, another William Richardson, You said right by your settlement of free people of color. Yeah, I mean, these movies make it seem like it was one way when it wasn't that way. You see all these men listed with their white woman, you know what I'm saying? So they making up a lot of stuff. I'm trying to make it seem like we were so beaten down and scared of them, which they clearly were not if they coming up here with their white women. You know what I'm saying? Free men, they don't care. They're free. They don't, they're like whatever. William Richardson, William Rudd, Abraham Scott. Abraham Scott again is a different age. Emmanuel Scott, Exum Scott, James Scott, John Scott. Another John Scott is older. Zacchaeus Smith, Abraham Sweat or Sweet. It's probably Sweat parent family from Virginia, Richard Promonkey. George Sweat and another George Sweat, different age. John Tony. You said you're 17% Nigerian. How do you know that? Who Nigerian in your family? You said funny. You said because most Caucasians in South Carolina like to hide the fact from their family. Yeah, a lot of them from South Carolina is part of us. You know what I'm saying? John Tony, George Top, James Weaver, Thomas Winborn. He's on there 3 times for some reason. All right, that was Halifax County in the Carolinas. He said DNA ancestry don't count. Yeah, that's why I asked who in the family was Nigerian, because there should be a paper trail. You said you got Richardsons on both sides, straight Catawba. Carolina has a lot of mixed blood. Yeah, a lot of the people. You see that. You see as a whole, more, I see on the list now, more people with white woman, white female, white wives or whatever. Um, you quote me, how you know that? I'm just asking, like, do you have the genealogy to that? All right, no, this is Hertford County. And I'm gonna have to be going soon, so Hartford might be the last one. Then we're gonna, come back tomorrow on that one. Known Indian surnames, either tomorrow or Saturday. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's spelled Hertfor. All right, Bass. Known Indian surnames, Bass. It's Nansemond or what? Chowannock or Chowannock. It says, see the Bible record of John Bass or Bass of Chowan County for more information. So they have that on here if you need to see that. If you're a Bass. John Bass married Yerdefer. Oh goodness, not in this old English. Married ye Daffer of ye king of the Nansemond nation. So John Bass married the daughter of the king of the Nansemond nation by the name of Elizabeth in holy baptism and in holy matrimony on 14th day of August in the year of our blessed Lord 1638. And Edward Bass, some son of Nathaniel and Mary Bass, unregenerated by the Spirit of God, took in marriage one virtuous Indian maiden by the Christian name of Mary Tucker, and went to live amongst the Shannocks, it's spelled different, in Carolina in 1644 AD. And he went to Carolina in later years to pursue trade and not in 1644. Okay. So the Chowannock is who they're talking about, but this is Showanox. All right. You got 30% East Indian. You from the Caribbean or something? Okay, anyways. So Hertford County, we're going to start at the top. Armstrong Archer, Caleb Archer, Jacob Archer, Evans Archer, Thomas Archer, William Archer and one white female, Peggy Archer, William Bailey and one white female, Willis Bass, who was mentioned in the side note, Solomon Bezel, Archer Boone, Thomas Bowser, Elizabeth Crow, Anthony Garner, Mary Hall, Gabriel Manley, Martha Manley, Moses Manley, William Manley, Letitia Manley, Sarah Manley, James Nicholson, Malachi Nicholson, Henry Orange, Shadrick Reed, Patience Ronals. It's not Ronald, it's no D. It's spelled Ronals. Could be Ronald. It could just be their cursive looks funny. Jesse Rowals, spelled Rowals. William Schaefernass, spelled Naff, spelled Shewenaft. James Smith, Jesse Weaver, Ned Weaver. It's a lot of Weavers on here. Wiggins. I'm sorry. Sarah Wiggins and Constant Williams. All right. All right, so that's all we're going to do. We're going to start off on Hyde County next time with the Madamusket. Ooh, itchy. Madamusket Indian Reservation. So it's located on the east side of the Lake Madamusket in Pamlico Sound. Okay, so that's the Algonquin area. You say you have Bradley on your side. Okay. Y'all having good conversation amongst yourselves on here. I'm glad. You said I'm a Bass on my grandmother's side. Uh-oh. So Bass is well documented on here. As well as in Virginia as well. You said Ampy. Yes, Ampy is Virginia too, Brian. So you guys got any last questions before I sign off today? I'm trying not to rush to the last minute. But it was a lot of names, and they pretty much solidified them as being indigenous surnames. Yeah, pretty much we all cousins, Kai, pretty much. Thank you, Donnie. That's the link right there, you guys. CoastalCarolinaIndians.com if you need this documentation for anything. You said, hi, Martha. You said Virginia. Kawa, thank you. Oh, Nikki, there's no problem. Hopefully I have another one tomorrow, Saturday. That's why you got to subscribe and click the bell buttons to make sure you get these notifications, because I told you I was going to be on at 2, and I got on at the Color People time, probably 20 minutes later. So it's good to have that bell button, because you wouldn't know it's on. It said Glovers of Rice. I can't recall. It's so many names, it's hard. That's why you gotta watch all the videos that I have done so far, and there's gonna be more because I left out a whole lot for the Virginia one, to be honest. Left out a whole lot, and I've got the Nottoway census and other records that we're gonna go into as well. And some of these tribes, like the Meherrin, they were in Virginia too, so they're in Virginia and North Carolina, documented. So they moved their reservation land. Okay. Yeah, Thompson was on the list yesterday. I haven't seen Blackman though. But names like Blackman, that could have been a made up name. After emancipation, some names were made up or enhanced. Like Freeman was surname before, but after that, a lot of people, they chose that name. They either changed the one that they had or they didn't have a surname before, so. All right, you said you're standing on their birthright. Exactly. That's why it's so important that people do their genealogy so they know their ancestors. They know exactly who they are. And we are all a composite of the DNA of our ancestors right now. So everything, like if somebody was a carpenter, you might have them skills down the line somewhere. If that's what you want to do, or you're gonna pass that on to your children. And back in the day when they used to teach, which a lot of people don't do, teach their family members stuff, like your grandma taught you how to cook and things. You had that embedded in your DNA, and also when she taught that to you, she was awakening those skills in you, if that makes any sense. And that genetic memory, and that's how, that's why it was bonding moments with your parents or your grandparents. Your grandpa might have taught you how to chop wood or something like that. Those moments were very important. That people don't understand that the chemistry from that, the alchemy associated with that. He said Johnson meant son of John. Yeah, just like Williamson. Or Mick, MC. Mick means son of as well. All right, you guys, I'm about to sign off. Y'all don't have any questions for me. Please like the video, share it out, because this could help somebody break down some brick walls that they have. It could open up doors to information. Some of the people who don't believe the stuff that we're saying, they see their surname on here a million times, they're going to have a second guess about them being from somewhere else, So it's very important that we do our genealogy and know ourselves. That's one of the bases of knowing ourselves, okay? So, in the Powhatan language, we say ana for goodbye. So, somebody asked me a question. How do you know about the Bennett and Evans family? The Bennett and Evans family is on this list as known Indian families. No, I haven't done Georgia yet. I was supposed to do Georgia today, but we have so much of the Carolinas that we got to get through first. So Georgia's going to probably be next week. You said your family is full of medicine, baby carriers. Oh, okay. Oh, you said good night. Oh, it must be night where you are. You're in Europe or somewhere. Oh, okay. All right, you guys. Well, I gotta sign off. So, in the Powhatan language, we say ana for goodbye. So, ana, you guys.